Are your words quietly pushing loved ones away without you realizing it? After 70, connection becomes more precious, but also more fragile. And sometimes it's not age or health that creates distance. It's the everyday phrases we say without thinking. In this video, we'll uncover 8 common phrases older adults often use, but actually drive away the very people who care the most. These expressions can come from pain, fatigue, or even love. But repeated over time, they build invisible walls between you and your family. The good news? Once you notice them, you can change them and start rebuilding closeness with just a few simple shifts in how you speak. Stay until the end, because phrase 8 may be the one that quietly shapes your relationships the most. Phrase 1, I'm just a burden now. Few things silence a room faster than hearing someone say, I'm just a burden now. It's a phrase that may come from deep exhaustion or quiet despair, but to those around you, it doesn't invite connection. It shuts it down. People who care about you don't see you as a burden, but when you label yourself that way, they don't know how to respond. They feel helpless, guilty, or even resentful, not because they don't love you, but because they're unsure whether to comfort, challenge, or stay silent. And slowly they stop coming around, afraid of triggering the same sad refrain again and again. When we speak this way, we unknowingly place others in a moral bind. It's a silent test. Prove you care, or you're part of the problem. And that's heavy for everyone. Loneliness often begins not with absence, but with emotional shutdowns. Shutdowns that block instead of build. Take Helen, 83, a retired school secretary in Pennsylvania. After her husband passed, her daughter began visiting weekly, bringing groceries and conversation. But over time, Helen started repeating the phrase, you shouldn't waste time on an old burden like me. At first, her daughter reassured her, but eventually she began shortening the visits. Not out of malice, but because every conversation ended in guilt. Helen didn't want to push her daughter away, but the phrase did that for her. The truth is, saying you're a burden isn't humility. It's a form of despair dressed as modesty. And despair repels the very warmth it secretly longs for. What builds connection is appreciation, not apology. Try saying, I'm so grateful you make time for me, instead of, you shouldn't have. This shift in language isn't about pretending, it's about choosing words that invite love, rather than deflect it. People want to be there for you. Don't make them feel like they're crossing a line by showing up. Phrase 2, no one understands me anymore. There's a quiet sting in the words, no one understands me anymore. It can feel true, especially as the world rushes forward, and your life starts to feel like it belongs to a different era. But this phrase doesn't build bridges, it burns them. When you say it aloud, what others hear isn't just your pain, but a subtle accusation. It suggests they've failed you, or that their efforts to connect aren't good enough. And when people feel they can't win, they eventually stop trying. What starts as an honest expression of loneliness can quickly turn into a wall. Over time, the people around you may stop sharing their thoughts or asking for yours, because the message is clear: we're on different sides of a gap that can't be crossed. It's ogulating not because you meant to push them away, but because. Let's look at Robert, 79, a retired engineer from Ohio. His grandchildren would visit and talk about social media, video games, or music. At first, Robert listened, even if he didn't always follow along. But one day, after a story about their favorite new app, he said with a tired sigh, I don't get any of this. I guess no one really understands me anymore. It was an offhand remark. But after that, they started coming around less. When they did visit, the conversations were shorter, the laughter more restrained. They didn't want to make him feel more out of place, so they stopped bringing him into their world. What Robert didn't see was that they were trying to include him, not because they expected him to understand every detail, but because they wanted to feel close. They were offering a connection, and his words quietly closed the door. Here's what's more powerful: curiosity. Even if the world feels foreign, asking, what do you enjoy about that? Or, what does that mean? Keeps you inside the circle. You don't have to understand everything to stay connected. You just have to be willing to stay open. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Say 3, Judy said, I've got nothing left to offer. Few statements carry as much silent resignation as the phrase, "I've got nothing left to offer." On the surface, it may sound like a passing expression of fatigue or humility, but underneath it's a quiet surrender. And when you speak those words often enough, you begin to believe them. More importantly, the people around you start to believe them too. And that's where the damage begins. This phrase creates a kind of emotional vacancy. It tells your children, your friends, and even your neighbors that you've checked out, that your wisdom, your humor, your presence, none of it is in play anymore. And it subtly discourages others from leaning on you, from including you, from inviting you into conversation where your experience could shine. I knew a woman named Elaine, 81, who had lived a rich life as a teacher and community volunteer. But after her husband passed, she slowly stopped attending church groups or neighborhood meetings. When asked if she'd join in, she'd simply say, "Oh, I've got nothing left to offer." And eventually, they stopped asking. She thought she was being modest, even sparing others the trouble. But in truth, she was silencing the very voice that had once uplifted her community. The truth is, you always have something to offer. Your stories, your presence, your perspective. These are not small things. In fact, they're irreplaceable. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give is just to show up, to listen, to share a laugh, or remind someone that they're not alone. When you say, "I've got nothing left to offer," you rob the world of something sacred, your continued existence as a source of meaning and connection. And even worse, you start to rob yourself of that same truth. Because what we say out loud has a way of shaping what we believe. So instead, consider saying, "I may not have the energy I used to, but I'm still here." Or, "I may be older, but I still care deeply." That shift in language tells others, and yourself, that you still matter. Because you do. And that reminder, said often enough, can open doors you didn't even know were still available. Phrase 4, "I'm fine, don't worry about me." A phrase, "I'm fine, don't worry about me," slips out easily, often cloaked in stoic independence or a desire to shield loved ones from concern. But after 70, these words can weave a subtle trap, quietly distancing those who long to stay close. It's not just a dismissal of your own needs. It's a signal that others' care is unnecessary, even intrusive. Over time, this phrase builds a facade of self-sufficiency that masks vulnerability, leaving you isolated when you do. Consider Margaret, 82, a former nurse who prided herself on resilience. After a fall left her with lingering pain, her children asked how she was coping. "I'm fine, don't worry about me," she'd reply, brushing off their concern. She thought she was sparing them stress, but her words made them feel shut out, unsure how to help. Gradually, their calls dwindled, not from lack of love, but because they believed she didn't need them. When Margaret finally admitted her pain during a rare, tearful call, her daughter rushed over, relieved to be let in. The truth is, "I'm fine" isn't strength. It's a barrier that stifles honest exchange. It tells others their worry is a burden, their presence unneeded. Yet vulnerability invites intimacy. Admitting you're not fine opens doors to support. Instead, admitting to welcomes care without demanding it. Psychologists note that suppressing needs erodes emotional bonds, fostering loneliness. After decades of life, you've earned the right to be seen, not as invincible, but as human. Ask, "Am I letting others in?" Comment number 8 below, subscribe, and hit the bell for more insights. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Phrase 5, "I don't want to be a burden." This one sounds noble. It's laced with humility, self-restraint, and what appears to be consideration for others. But underneath that soft exterior, the phrase, "I don't want to be a burden," carries a deeply unfairness and weight. And for many older adults, repeating this thought becomes a form of quiet self-reserve. When you keep saying it, even in small ways, you start to shrink your presence in the lives of those who actually want to be there for you. It may start as declining a ride to the doctor, brushing off an invitation to dinner, or avoiding a conversation about how you're really doing. Each time it seems harmless, but slowly those around you begin to believe you truly don't want help, don't want company, don't want connection. And so they stop offering, not because they don't care, but because they think they're honoring your wishes. There's an older gentleman I once knew named Paul, age 84. He had 3 grown kids who lived within an hour's drive. But whenever they'd ask if he needed anything, groceries, errands, even just some company, he'd always say, "No, I'm fine. I don't want to be a burden." After a while, the calls came less often. Not because they didn't love him, but because they didn't want to intrude. Paul was left sitting at home, wondering why no one came around anymore, not realizing it was the very phrase he kept repeating that built the walls around him. The truth is, letting others help isn't being a burden. It's being human. And it's giving them the opportunity to love you through action, which is often the deepest kind of connection we can offer each other. When you say, "I don't want to be a burden," what your children or friends may hear is, "Don't get too close," or worse, "I don't trust your love enough to lean on it." Instead, try saying, "Thank you. I'd really appreciate that." Or, these responses affirm connection without guilt. They keep the bridge open between you and the people who care most. Phrase 6, "It's too late for me." Few phrases shut the door on possibility faster than, "It's too late for me." It sounds final, even harmless, but it plants a subtle, persistent seed of defeat. When repeated often enough, this idea doesn't just end opportunities. It erodes hope, dignity, and the chance for change. And the truth is, age doesn't disqualify you from growth, purpose, or even joy. I once met a woman named Gloria who was 78 years old. I once met a woman named Gloria who was 78 at the time. Her husband had passed, her children lived far away, and she'd given up on most social activities. One day at a small community luncheon, someone asked if she'd ever thought about volunteering. Gloria smiled and said softly, "It's too late for me." The moment passed, but it stuck with me because I saw in her eyes that she didn't believe she had anything left to offer. That phrase, just 5 words, had become her excuse to stay hidden from life. But here's what I wish Gloria had known, that some of the most meaningful things we do in life happen in the later chapters. Think about it. Wisdom matures, compassion deepens. Even simple gestures like a kind word or a story shared over coffee become powerful. And many people find that after 70, the expectations fade and freedom emerge. Not the freedom to give up, but the freedom to live on your own terms. When you say, "It's too late for me," you take yourself out of the game before anyone else does. That's the tragedy, because most of the time the door wasn't closed. It just needed a nudge. Instead of saying, "It's too late for me," try asking, "What's still possible?" That one shift in language can unlock an entirely new path. Whether it's taking up watercolor painting, learning how to use video chat to connect with grandkids, or simply joining a local walking group, each step says, "I'm still here. I still matter." So if you've caught yourself using that phrase, I hope you'll pause, because it's not too late. In fact, this very moment might be the perfect time. Phrase 7, "No one needs me anymore." There's a quiet kind of pain that settles in when someone starts believing they're no longer needed. The phrase, "No one needs me anymore," doesn't just express loneliness. It carries the weight of invisibility, of feeling left behind by a world that seems to move on without you. And for many older adults, especially those who've spent a lifetime taking care of others, this phrase can feel like the final closing chapter. But that belief is almost never true. Often it's not that you're no longer needed, it's that the ways you're needed have simply changed. In your younger years, maybe you were raising kids, managing a household, or contributing at work. That role gave you a clear sense of purpose. But now in your 70s or 80s, purpose doesn't always come with a title. It comes in the form of wisdom passed down, presence offered freely, and kindness shared without fanfare. Take Leonard, for instance. At 83, he lived alone and mostly kept to himself. He often told his neighbor, "I don't know why I'm still here. No one needs me." But one winter, during a power outage, that same neighbor came by asking for help starting a generator. Leonard had spent his life working as a mechanic. In that moment, all his years of knowledge mattered deeply. And more importantly, he felt it. He didn't say, "No one needs me again." Feeling needed isn't about being busy or in demand. It's about knowing you can still make a difference, even in quiet, simple ways. A phone call to a friend, a note of encouragement to a younger family member, a memory shared with a neighbor. These are not small acts, they are lifelines. And they remind others, and ourselves, that our presence carries weight. When you believe you're no longer needed, you stop reaching out. You pull back, and that isolation grows. But when you realize that someone out there benefits just from hearing your voice, your story, your laughter, it changes everything. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 7 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. From 881, it's too late for me. This phrase is one of the quietest heartbreakers. When someone over 70 says they're better off without me, it often comes from deep emotional fatigue, guilt, or a sense of fading relevance. It sounds like selflessness, but it carries a silent wound. Over time, this belief doesn't just isolate you, it convinces others that your absence is a kindness. And that's where the danger lies. Loved ones may take those words at face value and begin stepping back, thinking they're honoring your wishes, when in fact, they're unintentionally deepening the loneliness. Take Diane, 78. After her husband died, she started turning down family invitations. She'd smile and say, "Go on without me, you're better off, really." At first her family insisted, but after hearing it a few times, they began leaving her off group texts, assuming she needed space. Diane didn't want to be left out, she just didn't know how to rejoin life. The truth is, no one is truly better off without your presence. What you bring, your love, your wisdom, your company, may feel small to you, but it's irreplaceable to someone else. Instead of saying, "They're better off without me," try, "I may need a little time, but I still want to be part of things," or, "Thank you for including me, it means more than you know." These small shifts let others know you're still here, still open, still part of their circle, because you are, and always will be. The words we speak in our later years can either protect our most precious connections or slowly erode them. If you found yourself saying any of these 8 phrases, you're not alone. Many seniors speak from pain, not realizing their words carry unspoken messages. Messages of sadness, resignation, or rejection. But today, you've taken the first step, awareness, and that matters. You can start fresh, with new words that open hearts, welcome care, and keep the people you love close. It's never too late to write the story you tell yourself, or the one your family hears from you. So which phrase resonated most with you today? Let us know in the comments below, and if you found this video important, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who may need to hear it. Because after 70, the most powerful tool we have to stay close is our voice. Use it to heal, to connect, and to remind others and yourself that you still matter.